Welcome to Spirit Flow, the sacred space where we believe spiritual health is the foundation of everything. I'm Tara, and I created this show to support women who are ready to reconnect with their essence, clear energetic blocks, and lead from their soul. When we're spiritually aligned, our health, our relationships, and our purpose begin to flow with ease. Each week, we'll explore the deeper layers of healing through conversations, reflections, and multidimensional lenses: spiritual, energetic, physical, and metaphysical. Let's step into the flow. Hello and welcome to Spirit Flow podcast. We are coming live from Sunshine Coast, and I have a beautiful guest with me in person, JJ Brighton. JJ is an incredible multidimensional channel, Akashic Records teacher, planetary gridwork. The list goes on and on and on. She has been here in Australia for the past few days running not only her Galactic Historian Conference, but also a parent-child workshop. And so today is just all about talking about what was coming through, what was weaving through the collective field, and how that's been landing in us as we keep coming back together and integrating everything. So JJ, welcome. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you. It's so much better to be in person than on Zoom. Like, the energy connection is so much better. So I'm so excited to be here.
It totally is. So let's talk a little bit about the Galactic Historian Conference. So you had an incredible group come together, and we started to obviously bring in the galactic frequencies. A lot of activation was happening through that group. But one real key thing that I would love to talk about that came out from that day was the pathway of the Crystalline Children. Yes. And we've kind of been mapping bits and pieces based on what you've been doing in the planetary grid work across the globe. Yeah. And there was one download when you said Australia and New Zealand is like the birth canal and coming through. I had so many downloads that came through, and we're starting to link Antarctica, Australia. So let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, there's so much.
So we were talking about Antarctica because we knew that was connected. Yeah. And what came through, the two words that came through for me was cosmic freeze in Antarctica, and relating that back to the Crystalline Children and these new Earth children are coming in with these beautiful, beautiful frequencies, wisdom beyond their years, and we're needing a new foundation for these children to bring these gifts into the world and allow them to shine. And the Antarctica piece was really interesting because when I said cosmic freeze, you were saying that the DNA has been
in suspended animation, frozen. Yeah. Cryogenics, isn't that what they call it when they freeze it? I mean, it was so crazy because I know I have had friends who have frozen their eggs, done egg storage, and I was kind of seeing that, and I'm like, what is going on? And it was a little, obviously that was like a baby version of what they were trying to show me, but I saw and felt that this crystalline DNA that we know, I mean, we can call it Lemurian, but maybe even before, this pure original divine blueprint template of Gaia with which she was seeded as a crystalline planet. But then, of course, the trajectory of humanity and the planet took it into more density, that there was some essence, some DNA, essentially, genetic seeding, that was maintained its purity by being in I think it's in both poles, but I know for sure Antarctica. I don't know about the other one yet, but there's definitely that crystalline essence that it has been there, and obviously it's ice, it's crystal ice, like it makes complete sense. So then we know about the thawing out of the polar caps and all that, and I'm like, well, maybe there's a reason for that. And of course I'm seeing this trajectory because I was flying. This is how it originally came to me. Yeah. I was flying to Australia, and they have the little map, right, of like your path, your flight path, and I was like, yep, I know that, and I'm like, oh, I forgot Antarctica's right there. It's not that far away. And my guys were like, pay attention. And so that's where I got that, crystalline ice crystal. And then I kind of thought, the Crystalline Children are there. But then more dropped in with this specific path of the Crystalline Children, which you mentioned, that we are working out. that's a work in progress. So yeah, you
work
can
in
elaborate on it
progress.
because the two of us are like, and then this, and then that.
You're right, and so these crystalline DNA has been in this cosmic freeze, and then there's this pathway that they're moving up through Australia and New Zealand, and it's almost like the birth canal. So it's like the seeding's happened, and they're moving up and further north. So as they're coming through the birth canal, it's like everything's kind of like folding in and like almost converging at that one point, and then it's taking it further north to Hawaii, which is the birth point, which is where they're coming, and there's the big birthing portals that we know up there.
Oh yeah,
and you were just recently in Hawaii last year for the conference as well with the children.
Yeah, it was actually this year. I was in the Big Island twice this year, which, you know, like that's not normal. I don't go to Hawaii all the time, and to be there twice this year, and each time that I went, I brought my children who were born after 2012. So the first time I brought one, and the second time I brought two. So the three of them needed to be there. I just, you know, it's all the puzzle pieces are coming together.
Yeah, and it makes sense from that 2012 piece, isn't it? Because a lot of the Crystalline Children are from 2012 onwards as well. So they're coming up to Hawaii, and then we're looking at their little pathway where they're actually going, and Mount Shasta was a big one. And I have such a big calling to go to Mount Shasta. And there is, and now I know why. Like it's almost like connecting in why, because at Mount Shasta, it's like they're learning. Like they go there to learn more about, you know, Earth School, and more maybe pick up some of the codes or templates that they may have, you know, left there. I don't know. You've been there recently too, so that was part of your pathway.
Yeah, well, it was part of the Galactic Historians Conference, and it's funny because what we've been doing with it is activating the crystalline vaults with more information, which makes sense. And in school, you got to fill the shelves with library books, and information. You know, the school has been dormant, and now the school's being reactivated. And like, oh my gosh, I could see so many analogies and symbolisms too. How what I've been doing unknowingly with this Galactic Historians arc is preparing the planet and the vaults of Gaia, all the information vaults, with the codes and frequencies and records that these children need to fully play out their roles, you know.
Yeah, and what was actually coming through is that school of Akasha. So it's the Akasha school of this remembrance that is ready now to be almost opened up and witnessed and starting to like filter through and ripple through. So in terms of that, and then I know there was then a connection. We're still kind of working out that connection, aren't we, with Avery and Egypt, but you know, regardless, it's just showing this beautiful pathway, and why, you know, there's the east coast of Australia and New Zealand are now being welcomed into this birthing process.
Yes.
And it's actually happened for you as you've moved. It's all coming backwards. If
it's
that makes
kind
sense.
of backwards.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what's interesting is
out of the portal into
out of the portal into, and then it's like, okay, last year when I came here, the main piece of grid work that I tuned into, and I didn't fully know why. I didn't understand it from the perspective I have now. I just knew that energetically we needed to reconnect Australia and New Zealand, the two landforms. Like it's like they missed each other, and other people who were with me felt the same. And so we were at the lighthouse area, where that is the furthest out
easterly point of Australia.
Yes. We had to be there. That's why I had to be there last year. And we were connecting it to New Zealand. And now having this perspective that I have now with understanding this essentially like a birth canal pathway for these galactic crystalline children is that both sides of the birth canal needed to be calibrated. And of course I'm here now again going to New Zealand again, and I'm doing it one more time to like close the loop, you could say.
And from a planetary grid work perspective, so the work that we've been doing here around the Earth energy lines and the Emperor Dragon lines, so the galactic frequencies that are coming through these lines, it actually connects here at Mount Coolum and then goes out to New Zealand. So when we did our grid work recently at Pridgeon Beach, that actually has a type 4 alignment that runs down. And actually one of the ladies found that type 4 alignment from Pridgeon down to Mount Coolum. So it's connecting and then it's going out to New Zealand.
So amazing.
So there's almost like you, the light beacon, as well as a physical vessel bridging that. And then you've got the Earth is actually supporting you through that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like
been there all along. We just didn't know.
And it's just like, you know, you're saying that you were there before. It's like the consciousness is rising and it's finally ready. Like it feels like we can feel the shift in the air too, like energetically as well. Like our bodies have been feeling quite electric.
Yeah, our bodies have been feeling very buzzy. Very buzzy. We'll take a deep breath.
Yeah. Coming back into that.
Yeah.
It's just been so beautiful. And then from there, which is now almost like bridging that information to the children, I feel. So we did a parent-child workshop up at Doonham, and it was a beautiful group that came together. We started to overlay a star map, so a 5-pointed star map with a framework to help parents remember their soul gifts and look at their family as a living constellation and see how each family member is part of this constellation, and we need to come back into that coherence, come back into that harmony. And then JJ came in and brought in that past life remembrance for the children, which was so beautiful to witness. And it's almost like that information that came from the galactic historians arc that you'd been doing had then almost been like mirrored into the children and the work that we did there together on Doonham. An interesting fact, it's just dropping in, is that when I actually went out and did a site visit on at this place at Doonham, we had an earthquake here on Sunshine Coast. And I don't find that at any way like an anomaly. I find it so synchronistic because it's like before we were actually coming together, the earth already felt the shift, and it was just showing me Mother Earth was shaking up because this is that new foundation that we need to create. This is the new pathway. We're creating that foundation for these children to come in, to stay connected to their truth without being swayed by the world, stay sovereign, and allow their soul gifts to start to shine and come through as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you're talking about the earthquake, it's reminding me, it was yesterday, I think, we were talking about the tectonic plates, and I think it was like a connection with the whales and the tectonic plates, which is also another adventure we've had.
Yes,
very fun.
Yes, we have. Yeah, so we went out onto the boats. So we went out onto, it was actually called Whale Song at Noosa. And the previous group went out in the morning and they had quite an experience. So there was a calf that was wrapped up in the nets. So we have here in Australia, we have a lot of shark nets, and it has been quite a thing up here. And just yesterday or 2 days ago, they were protesting about it. We want these nets to come down because this is what's happening. These baby whales are getting caught up into the nets. And this has been the 14th one this season here in Australia. So, you know, we're wanting everyone to wake up and say, look, yes, we understand it's, you know, there for the sharks, but look what it's doing to our whales, look what it's doing to the other marine life that's out there as well. And when the calf got caught up in the net, the mother whale started to come up, and then she started to call in all the other whales around. So as the fisheries were actually releasing the calf, all the whales were holding that space for this calf to be freed as well. And our captain, Peppy, who's just an incredible human, she came back so heavy-hearted because she herself is just this majesty of the ocean kingdom. And for her to feel that, she felt it very hard for her to actually come out into the boat with us, which we completely understood. But she had a beautiful group of us coming together. We went out into the water and we went out to where the calf had been tangled up, and we did a beautiful healing. We had a group that had been, I felt, divinely called in and hold space over that, and through our song, through our voices, through our light language, it was almost this healing portal that needed to be created to help ripple out and show humanity what it's actually doing, like what us humans are actually creating out in the ocean as well. What was your experience? I'm curious, like with that.
Oh, I mean, divine timing. You failed to mention, Tara failed to mention that we had gotten the weather report and we had found that it might be too windy to go. And so for a couple of days, it was like, should we go? Should we not go? And of course, Tara had coordinated, so she was sort of taking that on. And I remember coming down that morning, and I heard a conversation. I think you said, oh, it's not going to be as bad as you thought. But in the end of the day, you can tell she decided to go.
What did come through was that I needed to allow the masculine.
Yes.
So the boat,
Yes.
the masculine boat, hold the feminine group, and we needed to trust that. So we had all females.
And there was a
going
male
out.
captain.
There was a male
That was
captain.
actually.
Albie.
Yes,
Yeah,
we had
beautiful
one
man.
male and a bunch of women on there. But that was, for me, it was like, you didn't know that the calf was going to be caught in the nets. We didn't know any of that. It was like, then we just, we showed up. It was divine timing. And I think it's a witness for everybody listening to trust your heart, to the magic will unfold. And when you are needed, when your gifts are needed, I just feel like we're stepping into a stage and an age and a phase where when we kind of put that call out to the universe that we're willing and ready to share our gifts, we don't have to micromanage how to do that. The opportunities will just come forward. Because I think we stress so much. I get a lot of people who are like, I don't know how to fulfill. I have all these things. I don't know what to do. Just call it in and say, I don't need it. I don't need to go to it. It will come to me. And it literally was placed in our laps. It's like, just do the things that your heart calls you to do, and all of it will unfold where you're able to serve and weave and bring your gifts to the world the way you need to.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were doing. We were allowing that to come through, and then as a beautiful group being able to bring so much healing into the ocean and for the calves, and allowing that to wave out to the rest of them. And that was felt. We saw a handful of pods of mums and babies, calves, swimming through, and then we were releasing a lot of beautiful clear quartz crystal down into the ocean, just to help grid we're gridding more around the oceanic frequencies, those deep oceanic frequencies to start to come through
in the
as
water,
well.
in the it just occurred to me. So one of your friends, Abby, had brought the larger quartz crystals, right?
Yeah.
So she had already received that we needed to be placing these large quartz crystals. But I had brought the baby chips, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like mothers and babies. It was like we were sprinkling the babies and the children energies, and she bought the mama quartz.
So true.
I just realized that.
That's so true. And we sprinkled the baby crystals where the baby calf was caught, and then the larger ones out where we saw
where
the
mom
came
right
up
to us.
So it was a beautiful moment where we all, JJ said, let's all start to tone, and all of us started to tone together. I think some light language started to come through, and she heard us. There was this beautiful mama whale that was swimming beside us ever so slowly, and you could see her just peeking out and like taking a check-in, seeing what we're doing. And as soon as the sound started to occur within our group, you could see her starting to like move towards us, and she came right up to the boat, didn't she? And then she veered off to the right again, another little peek, and we just were like, we see you too. And it was such a beautiful moment for each and every one of us. And JJ had a beautiful download saying that this calf that was with the mum as it was coming up to the boat was actually a male. And there was a link between leadership, the male being a leader, and it was almost like a prince you were sharing.
Yeah, it felt like a prince, but I think, that just kind of shows that, just like with humans, there are people born to carry out certain roles. It happens with animals as well, and in particular, these very high frequency whale beings that are not from our planet. I felt like he was holding templates of leadership in that one day. I kind of saw the future. It was almost like I was able to see the future, that one day he would be playing that role for the pod, which I have never had anything come in like that before. Like, it had to have been accurate, because I was like, this is so far-fetched, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to share it, because it was just flowing in, and wow.
Yeah.
And for us to witness.
Yes.
The whole point wasn't like, oh, let JJ show off her channeling skills. Like, I can animal communicate. Yay. It was like, share this with the group so that more of you can witness who this calf is and who he's going to become.
Which is also interesting, because whales, particularly the males, are the ones that are doing the singing. And I was almost, what was coming through just then, JJ, was that us toning and us moving through the frequencies of sound, we're actually mirroring back the template to that calf. So when he does go into that leadership, that's what he's going to be carrying through the
that
ocean.
makes sense.
Goosebumps.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
And
I just remember singing something too, and I wonder if that's what there was that one time we all toned, and then there was this one song that wanted to come out, like a different song that I now am thinking it was a song to witness that experience, and I was like, oh, maybe it was kind of what you're saying, a little. I was channeling,
because I love this because males they traditionally they say that there's one song that comes up from the Antarctica, and it comes up and then it spreads through the rest of the pods and the rest of the whales across the globe. And so to be able to not only witness this young male calf in its innocence, in its infancy, and be able to mirror some templates and receive that back is just a beautiful experience.
I'm now getting it. The whale pod has a song originator, the song keeper for the whole pod, and he's going to be taking that place, like you said. But I'm just like going the template, but song, because I'm like leaders. They don't like lead like humans lead, but they lead through frequency, and he'll be the frequency anchor for the pod that will go from Antarctica to the rest of
and their song and their frequency vibrates through the whole ocean. So we actually dropped a hydrophone into the water, and we could actually hear a male song about 2 kilometers away, and it almost sounds like this big, it sounded to me like this big didgeridoo. It was just like this hum. And I was out swimming with the whales and actually out in the water, and hearing that, it just reverberates through the whole body as well. And to know that these whales are carrying these templates, and as they're kind of coming up, they're actually spreading that to the rest of the whales, and they're healing the globe. And they're not healing it through the oceans, and then it's hitting the land, and it's like rippling out into the land. So there's these song lines that are being transmitted through the frequency, the sound frequencies in the ocean, but then they're also hitting, the lines, the Earth planetary lines as well. Yeah.
Wow. I'm almost speechless. This is just, I'm still integrating from that. It was just magical.
Yeah, it was
magical.
So, talking about the whales and, the crystalline children and these ancient templates that they're holding, we're also feeling like a lot of the crystalline children are deeply connected to the whales and their pathways as they're coming up the east coast of Australia. They're heading up to Hawaii and back down again. And, there's this deep connection with the DNA templates that these crystalline children have with ocean. So I'm not sure, but my children absolutely love the ocean, obviously living close by. But I know so many families that are just drawn to not only visit and holiday at the oceans, but also live nearby as well. The children, that you can see them as they're going out into the beach and they're going out and swimming out in the ocean. They're receiving those codes. They're receiving those vibrations moving through their body just in their natural joy and their natural play. And perhaps a lot of it's coming, in through unconsciously, but they're still receiving. That's what these little bodies are just being drawn to do. And that's one thing that I've really worked out with my children is not me dictating what actually needs to happen for our travel and our adventures, but asking the children where they want to go. Like, let's work as a family to allow the children to show us where they want to go, because there might be certain codes or templates or things that they need to implant into the earth, and vice versa. They might need to go there to receive as well, to allow those soul gifts to start to be remembered and start to move through their body once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I've felt that for a while, that
You've taken a lot of your children on your trips too, haven't you?
Not a ton. I'm just starting. It takes a lot to bring your kids. But what's coming to me is something that came in about 2 years ago. I was working with a group of men. I was working with the Divine Masculine, and I had a container that was just men. And I knew I just needed to have it. I didn't know, it kind of just kept going. And I was like, so we would channel different things on behalf of the Divine Masculine. And one of the things that came through was what is the most important thing for the divine masculine to do right now?
Mm-hmm.
And what dropped in was get them in their bodies. So then step 2 was, how do we get them in their bodies? And it was, they need to be in water. Just like that. And so then when you said what you said, take it one step further to where, in particular, the oceans at this time, having those frequencies, although all water is connected, and we know that, even if you can't get to the ocean, it's okay. But that these kiddos, especially these masculine, it's very important for them to be in the water. And I had seen, if you don't live by water, this is just what dropped in for us a couple days ago, but if these kids don't live by water, to make sure to get them places where they can go visit on vacation, like you said, and just help guide them, that they can get activated at the sites they need to get activated at, even if it is like Mount Shasta or another site. Just trust the kids. They will know what's going to light them up and what's going to activate them. But yeah, it's a fun adventure. And that has to do with abundance codes too, because I know people listening are like, well, I want to go all over. And so step 2 has been like, okay, well, let's lock in the abundance codes so that the parents, this is real. Like, I'm just being honest with all of you. I have 8 kids. We did not travel with these kids very much until lately. But I had asked about that too, because I said, well, that feels like that's going to be, it's going to take some resources to do that. And it was like, well, it's so important for us. If this doesn't motivate us to really take a look at our abundance templates, then I don't know what will, because we're doing it for the kids, We're doing it for the kids to give them the opportunities, experiences, and tools that they need to serve the collective. And it does require some resources to do that, but that doesn't mean money. And notice I'm not saying money. You never know how those resources are going to drop in, and you never know what might be gifted. And it's just really opening the field of possibilities up for yourself, so that you can, if your kiddo has it, you make that goal poster. What an incredible illustration of manifestation if it's far-fetched.
Yeah.
And then having that child say, I always knew I needed to go to the Philippines or wherever it is, and then it happens. Like, you showed them the pathway to manifest that trip. So there's lots there.
I 100% agree, like, in terms of like the abundance codes and bringing that in, but setting that intention first and then allowing that intention to seed. And then once that's seeded, then allowing it then to come into your field and looking at those opportunities and those infinite possibilities that are going to be starting to ping into your field and bring them in as well.
Call it in.
Actually, I really want to jump into the divine masculine. How I was saying earlier that I needed the divine masculine of the boat to hold us in the feminine flow. And it was through the Galactic Historian conference that there was one part where I had to open up more to the masculine and the divine masculine within myself. And as soon as I started to open that up, I got this beautiful vision of these men and these warrior men standing with their sticks and with their shields and saying, we're here, we're present, we're ready to stand with you. And then I had this vision of all their children, all their little boys started to appear into the vision, and they were all looking up to the men as well. And it was such a profound moment for me, because once I opened that up, then I actually opened it up again to my husband, and then I was down at the beach and I met a beautiful man down at the beach, Michael, and sitting with him on the beach and allowing the divine to masculine to come in, and he generously gifted me some light codes before we went actually out in the water with the whales. And receiving the divine masculine to hold, like, it's like, yes, the container is there. We know it's always been there, but we need to allow that to come in and receive that too. And that has been like one of the biggest synchronicities that have come in around this divine masculine. And I feel like it almost links back to the calf, the male calf as well, the whales and the leadership, and allowing them to come through. Anything else that came through from you?
Oh my goodness. I'm just feeling, I'm really still integrating what you are mentioning. It is significant that there were only women at the conference, but I opened the conference with this really amazing song that dropped in the other day. And that song, I think I mentioned it a little bit, but it came from the Star Fathers. Like, as in, the Star Fathers said, this is a song from us, so when you hear it, think of us. And so even though the masculine weren't there physically, I felt the masculine was there in spirit and through the Star Fathers.
Yeah.
And the feminine was holding the physical, which is normally like not, that's, you know, it's a balance though.
Yeah.
And so I think that all the layers and levels of how that manifested, you know, we could probably sit here for 2 hours and say, oh, and then that, and oh, and then that, but you guys, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
I actually, even as you said that, I felt like the Star Fathers were around the parent-child gathering that we did as well. So, yeah. So incredible. It's just all these beautiful synchronicities that are all joining up together, and you know, it's beautiful connections, you know, physical in-person connections, you know, that is really making a huge difference in the communities. And I really want to be able to honor that, you know, the more, yes, we can do online, but the more physical work that we can come together, there's something that amplifies in the field. You know, we felt it at the gridwork workshop as well, and it just, you know, it's obviously what you've been doing for the past, you know, 3 maybe longer than that.
this physical in person, yes, I've been anchoring those templates in, and I actually just received, like, you can like back off a little bit, but I didn't realize it, but it is true when you seed templates. Sometimes it happens in a very rapid way and in a very short amount of time, but you're seeding, it's like a synergy that needs to be built.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure many people have gone through periods of their life where they're like, I don't know, I just had this weird desire to do X, Y, and Z for like 2 years, and then it went away. And I'm like, just follow it, just follow the seasons. But I think my reflection would be, like, one, as a woman who didn't really travel a lot beforehand just because of resources and kids and everything, that I was helping to pave the path for women who might feel called to travel and maybe can't go with their kids, or maybe they don't have kids, but that the feminine is able to get out there and be in person and initiate these templates, number one. And then I'm not traveling anymore, but the interesting thing is, I've shared this in a few places, the template is shifting from me traveling and leading just like people who follow me on a, you know, whatever, opening it to like a retreat, and literally focusing on, if I'm going to travel, I'm going to take my kids, or at least a couple of my kids. So it's family-centric travel now that I'm anchoring in, but it's all about that in-person experience. Yeah, I can't talk enough about how amazing in-person is.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was also dropping in, let me just feel I've lost it and it's just come back in.
That happens.
Oh, talking about the children. And you were saying, you know, if you don't have children, you know, there's, and I've gone through my own fertility pathway, frozen my eggs, right? Done all of those things as well. And, you know, even, you know, dropping in, even if you don't have children, you obviously have nieces, you have nephews, you have family, you have pets, you know, these crystalline codes are coming in so many different forms, and we need to be open that it's not just the children, it's, you know, so many other different forms that they're wanting to come through. They'll find a way.
That's right. That's right. Many of these crystalline children are not coming into bodies. They're staying in etheric bodies, but they are on the planet. And yes, I've tapped into some that are part of animals. I've actually been around women who don't have any children, maybe are a little bit older too, and it's not going to happen in this life. And I'm like, you have a lot of children around you. So if anybody's listening, that you're like, just because someone says you have a lot of children around you, maybe doesn't mean you're going to birth them all. But these crystalline children are still anchoring with divine feminine and physical frequency to what I feel there is still a maternal sort of relationship or template that you're holding for them. It almost feels like an assignment. Like we were like, this is. We all kind of divided up, you know, these beautiful souls too, and as much as they are absolutely ancient, you know, old souls and wisdom keepers and high frequency beings, I felt this part of them come forward that wants to experience still a childlike energy. That's why they're not coming in as old men energy, like a wise old man, you know, like they're coming. Why are they coming in super wise, but childlike? It's interesting to think about it because they could come in any form and way that they wanted to.
That's right.
So
yeah,
something to think about.
Yeah, very much so. Well, I'd love just to close out today. JJ, would you love just to take us through a beautiful light language transmission?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would. Be honored to do that. So just closing your eyes, placing your hands on your heart space. And the message that wants to come through in light language feels like it's coming from the Star Mothers. And it feels like a message of gratitude. But beyond that, light language may or may not be interpreted by you. So just feel it first and then let it unfold for you and bring you the exact message that you need. Hiam aru uyanai ia shara hiya. Gar atushna ia titara. Olo yanarai yatsukusha yam oroya ta'ar yatsuko sha'ayana yatika arya anahaya. I am complete.
Thank you, JJ. I don't know if you've heard the birds chirping in the background. It's almost like layering around us. JJ, I just want to say thank you so very much for jumping on and recording this with me while you're here in Australia. It means so much to me. It's been such an honour to be in your presence. You're such a gift to the world. And there's so much light and remembrance and coherence that's happening. And I know that you're such a huge part in that. I don't think you realise that, but I witness you and I see you, and I'm deeply appreciative.
Thank you. I receive.
Thank you for sharing space with me today. If this episode resonated, come find me on Instagram at tara.hegerty to keep the conversation going. You'll find all of the resources we talked about on today's show linked in my bio under podcast resources. Until next time, remember, spiritual health changes everything.